Welcome to Back to School Sunday, Hills Community Church. Man, I love this time of year because the Cowboys are about to start playing. Or for those of you who still root for the Chargers, that's fine too. Anybody ready for the kids to go back to school? Let's go! That's going to be fun. One update from my family about this next season. We're not going to be playing any sports in the fall of 2025 at the Jones house. I know that's a weird thing to be excited about, but last year, 2024, all four of my kids, 14, 12, 10, and 7, played soccer. And so the soccer field kind of ruled our lives. And I'm not judging any of you who still do that. I'm just saying I'm going to be sleeping in on Saturdays. It's going to be amazing. Yeah, maybe we'll go to the desert. But there is one thing, or a few things that I'll really miss about my kids playing sports. I'll miss how tired they get doing practices and playing games. And really what I will miss is the fire of competition. Is anybody else with me? Like, whenever competition comes, there's just something that wells up inside of you. For me, it's passion. I get very passionate in competition. If you've ever played any kind of game with me, you know this. It embarrasses my wife, but it doesn't embarrass me. It makes me excited to think about the fire of competition, whether I'm watching my kids play, whether I'm playing myself, whether I'm coaching. I coached soccer last year, so I got really into the competition. Some of you may relate to me. Anybody else out there, like overly competitive, like whenever the pressure of competition comes out, like you bow up and you get excited. It's been said that what is within a man comes out when he's squeezed, right? Like what's in your heart comes out when the pressure is on. That's why no one is surprised when you squeeze an orange and what comes out? Orange juice, yes, thank you. I appreciate that. What's within a man comes out when he is squeezed, and that is what is in your heart. So if you want to know what's in someone's heart, you need to see how they react when the pressure is on. And for some of us, it kind of makes you cringe because you think of times where you're squeezed, where the pressure's on, and you react in a way that shows that your heart is not in the right place. I think specifically about moments with my kids when it's like a high-pressure environment, like we're trying to go somewhere or we're trying to do something, and there is a lack of cooperation. And I just hate how sometimes immediately I lose my patience, and I get frustrated, and I raise my voice. That's what's in my heart, right, in that moment. What happens when I get squeezed? What's in my heart comes out. But my wife is the opposite. Something amazing happens. So like I'm all mad, I'm all frustrated, and then she's just cool as a cucumber. She like grows in patience whenever there's times where I'm in a hurry and impatient, and I see her, and what I see is her patience. I see her love for our kids and for me, and I see the heart of Jesus. And that's why we're here today. Because we're trying to follow Jesus, right? Like, I don't know why you came to church on a Sunday morning, but I want to have the heart of Jesus. I want to grow to have the heart of Jesus. You heard one instance that happens regularly at my house where I do not have the heart of Jesus. But I want to grow to have more of the heart of Jesus. And so today, we are going to be asking this question. What is the heart of Jesus? It's a very simple question. Maybe you've thought of this before, like what is the heart of Jesus? When Jesus gets squeezed, what comes out? And you may already have answers. I heard a couple get shouted. I'm not going to give away what my answer is, but I'll tell you, we're trying to simplify the Jesus process. A lot of times faith and church can get complicated. And so at the Hills, we just want to say, let's simplify the whole thing, and let's just follow Jesus. Let's just be like him. Let's learn what the heart of Jesus is so that we can have the heart of Jesus. And so we're in this series. This is week 3 of our series called The 7 Essentials. But they're not just essentials for life. They are essentials for fulfilling the mission of Jesus. We say, it's kind of a mouthful, the 7 essentials of relational discipleship. So if you want to know what we're all about at the Hills, we are all about relational discipleship. Discipleship meaning when Jesus was about to ascend to heaven, he looked at those 12 guys that had followed him around. Well, there were 11 left at that point. And he said, hey, go do what I did with you. He said, go and make more disciples. And so they knew exactly what he meant when he said that, because over the last 3 years of their lives, they had followed him around. They'd spent every day with him. They'd listened to him. They'd talked to him. They'd asked him questions. They'd debrief with him. He sent them out. They came back. They debriefed. It was It was very highly relational. The discipleship process for Jesus was highly relational. And so for us, that's what it's going to all be about. It's going to be all about relational discipleship. And so this week is week 3 of the 7 essentials of relational discipleship. If you did not see the last 2, please go check them out online. They're very, very helpful. And in fact, number 1 and number 2 are way more important than number 3. In fact, you can tune out number 3 if you don't care about 1 and 2. But today, the third essential is going to be in John chapter 19. We're basically looking at the life of Jesus when he embodies these things that we believe are essential to relational discipleship. And so we're going to look at a story where Jesus is pushed to the limit, and we're going to see what is in his heart come out. So if you think about where Jesus is in John chapter 19, if you've ever read the book of John before, you know this is towards the end. And so at the end of Jesus' life is the hardest part. He gets arrested, and when they take him, before they hang him on the cross, they whip him. And it wasn't the Jewish people who were whipping him, it was the Romans. And that's important because Jewish people had a law that you could only be whipped 39 times. But the Romans had no such law, so we have no idea how many times Jesus was whipped. And what they used, just to give you a little bit of an idea, it wasn't just a whip, it was leather straps with bits of lead, bone, and metal on the ends. And I know this is hard to hear, but it was designed to tear skin, it was designed to bruise muscle and to cause deep bleeding. And really, the purpose wasn't just to punish, it was also to weaken before his execution on the cross. So if you think about Jesus with a bruised and bloodied back, sides, and then he had nails driven through his hands and his feet, and they put him up on the cross. And we don't know how long he was on the cross before what's about to happen. We think it could be up to 3 hours. But if you think about this, in moments of pain and resilience, right, that's when you see what's in someone's heart. So if moments of pain and resilience reveal someone's heart, then the cross is where we most clearly see the heart of Jesus on display. Think about that, right? So like moments of pain and resilience, if that's where you see what's in someone's heart, then Jesus on the cross was the perfect example of the most heart that could possibly be shown. And the first thing I want to mention is just the fact that he stayed up there reveals his heart. Because Jesus is the King of heaven, and he could have had legions of angels come down and take him off that cross and defeat all of the Romans that were trying to have him crucified. But he didn't. He chose to stay on the cross. And so before he even says a word here, I want you to know what Jesus values most is those he died for. Because he stayed up there. And he died for you. All your brokenness, all the things that you don't measure up to, he said, I'm going to come and I'm going to live the perfect life that none of us could live. And I'm going to die the death that they deserve on the cross so that they can have a relationship with the Father. And so before he even opens his mouth, he's already showing us what his heart is. And then I just want us to look at this little interaction that he has. In John 19, just verses 25 through 27, stay with me through this story because there's something amazing that happens. John 19, starting in verse 25. Near the cross of Jesus stood his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother there, and the disciple whom he loved standing nearby, that's John, the guy who wrote this, he said to her, "Woman, here is your son." And to the disciple he said, "Here is your mother." And from that time on, the disciple took her into his home. It's a simple interaction, but it's got so much profound meaning. And to kind of fully understand this interaction, I want you to think about first century Israeli family dynamics. They're very different than the 21st century Southern California family, right? Like the Southern California family today is very nuclear. It's a mom and a dad and its kids. That's really all we think of as our main family. But in ancient Israel, the family was all about honor. Honor was the highest value. And so they were highly motivated to contribute to the family in every way, in work, in the way that they build their houses, in the way that they interact with each other, where they live. And Jesus, he kind of didn't do any of that. He didn't live with his parents. He chose to be homeless for most of his adult life. He didn't continue working. Joseph was a woodworker. What do you call that? Thank you, carpenter. He didn't, as far as we know, some people call Jesus a carpenter, but there's no record of Jesus being a carpenter. Jesus was not there to help. We think his dad died because at the end of his life, it's just Mary. And so you can imagine there actually may have been some tension between Jesus and his mom. Their relationship was a little bit, I think, complicated. If you think about just what happened, starting all the way back where an angel came to Mary before she even got pregnant and said, you're going to get pregnant, you're not going to get married, and it's going to be God's baby, the Son of God. And so Mary knew she knew she was raising the Son of God as he grew up. I mean, how do you correct that? It had to be complicated. She lost him for a few days when he was a tween. He was just hanging out at the temple. And then as he grows up, the only interactions we see are, number one, Mary prompts Jesus' first miracle. And so they're at this wedding party. They run out of booze. And Mary goes to Jesus and she's like, hey, the party's getting lame. Do something. And so Jesus actually obeys his mom and goes and makes more wine. He turns water into wine, prompted by his mom, Mary. And then we believe Mary kind of fell off the whole Jesus group as he grew his disciples and did most of his ministry, because what happens is at one point in Jesus' ministry, Mary and the brothers of Jesus come to the door of the house where Jesus is teaching, and they say, hey, come on, Jesus, we got to go. And so they tell the disciples, go get Jesus. I don't know if they were embarrassed by him. We don't know if they were trying to go somewhere else, but Jesus blows them off. He says, you know who my mother and my brothers are? Those who do the will of the Father. And so at that point, I would imagine Mary and the brothers who couldn't get Jesus, they were probably disappointed. So there was a little bit of complexity in the relationship between Jesus and his mom. And so what Jesus chooses to do here, I think, is really, really amazing. He chooses to connect John, the self-proclaimed favorite disciple of Jesus. Every time he talks about himself, he says, the disciple whom Jesus loved. That's what he called himself. Jesus connects John and Mary, his mom. And so when you think about the state Jesus is in, the amount of pain that he's feeling, not just physically, but emotionally, and even spiritually, because Jesus on the cross carried the weight of the sin of the world. It's an unimaginable pain that none of us will ever be able to fathom. That's the point where Jesus gets squeezed the most. I believe this is the moment. And what comes out is connection. The heart of Jesus is connection. He chose to connect Mary to John. And really, if you look at the last 3 years of Jesus' life, you're not confused by this, because Jesus had the heart of connection all throughout his ministry. He was wanting to connect people to their heavenly Father, and he was wanting to connect them to each other through love, through faithfulness, through forgiveness, through kindness, through generosity. All the things that Jesus did were aimed towards connection. So last week we talked about how Jesus came to seek and save the lost. And then the week before that we talked about how the heart, the first essential of relational discipleship is abiding in Christ. And so let me say, connecting people to people is really, really important to Jesus. But it's very, very secondary to connecting people to God. So the heart of Jesus is connection. Connecting them to him, connecting them to the Father, and connecting us to each other. So this is number 3 of our essentials. 7 essentials of relational discipleship. Essential number 3 is, surprise, connect the unconnected. Jesus wasn't introducing something new. If you go back and read through the history of Israel, God has always been one who has wanted to connect himself to people and people to each other. All the way back when he made the promise to Abraham that he would make Abraham a nation, it wasn't just about one nation. He told Abraham, all the peoples of the earth will be blessed through you. And then later on through his prophet Isaiah prophesied this about Jesus. He says, I will make a light for the Gentiles, that my salvation may reach the ends of the earth, connecting people to each other. Gentile just means non-Jew. And so you and I have this opportunity to connect the legacy of God's people and the heart of Jesus through connecting the unconnected. Now, I think we all know what it feels like to be disconnected. Feels like this. you're isolated. You're alone. And you know that you've got these points that are meant to be connected relationally to other people. And it kind of hurts to be disconnected, doesn't it? You're more vulnerable. And we all have the ability to connect. And so you may not see yourself like this, but this is you. You were made with points of connection. And you don't have unlimited connection points, right? But you have a few. And so you can't connect with everyone, but you can connect with someone, can't you? Or what if you just did this? You could connect to a couple, and then as you connect to someone else, you kind of lose your connection points, don't you? Let's see. And so it's limited. You can't connect to everyone, but you can connect to someone. And the cool thing is, God has unlimited connection points. And so you don't have to connect to everyone. And the cool thing is, God is inviting us to help connect the unconnected. And he doesn't just tell Mary and John, you guys take care of each other. He actually establishes them as a family. He says, mother, behold your son. Son, this is your mom. And from that day on, they took care of each other. Psalm 68:6 says, God sets the lonely in families. There is a family waiting for you and everyone you know. And that may sound a little bit overwhelming because there's a lot of people. But the truth is, you're not equally close to all family members. I've got every legal kind of sibling you can have. I've got an adopted brother. I've got a full sister. I've got a stepbrother. I've got two half brothers. I've got in-laws. Every legal kind of sibling you can possibly have, and I love them all so much. But I'll tell you, I don't feel bad that I'm not equally close to all of them. But they are all family, and they all have a place to belong in the family. And so, family, by the way, you may not believe this because your family may be messed up, but what family was meant to signify, like the significance of family was always meant to be belonging. And so when we connect the unconnected, we're giving people a place to belong. And when you come to the hills, when anybody comes to the hills, the first thing we want them to know is that there is a place to belong here at the hills and ultimately in the family of God. And so Jesus, man, I love this. A lot of churches, I think, get this backwards because they say, okay, if you're able to believe certain things and behave certain ways and you look good, like all that's good, then you get to have the opportunity to belong. But Jesus was the opposite. If you read the Jesus story, he said, you come follow me, come hang out with me, come have a place to belong with me. He connected them before they ever believed in him. Before they ever behaved the way that he prescribed, because he does have a way. And as we follow Jesus, as we belong together, we grow to learn the heart of Jesus. The heart of Jesus is connection. And so if we're going to live this out, if we're going to connect the unconnected, live out this essential practice of relational discipleship, I think it's really simple. It's not easy, but it's really simple. In order to do this, you've got to invite someone to be part of your family. Invite someone to be part of your family. It's risky. It takes energy. When someone who's not family comes to your house, there's a little bit of an extra layer of you're paying attention, you're trying to care for them, you can't let your hair down, right? But it's worth it because when you invite someone into your family, you are showing them the heart of Jesus. It's connection. Heart of Jesus is connection. So when you give someone a place to belong in your family, and your family may be messed up, That's okay. Jesus came for messed up families, and Jesus redeems messed up families. And so I want to tell you about my friend Milt. He died this year, and he didn't live too far from here. He lived in East County. He planted a church in the 50s. Lost his wife, I think maybe 30-something years ago, and got remarried to a woman named Ruth. And Milt and Ruth, what they decided to do was they decided to give their lives to investing in an international student ministry on campus at Cal State San Marcos. And so some of you already know about Milt and Ruth, but I just want you to know, this is an example of what it looks like to invite someone into your family. Here's what they do. Every Friday night, they go give these international students who don't have a ride, they give them a ride. They go pick up as many of them as want to come, and they'll put 50 people in this little house. And they'll serve dinner together, and all the students will contribute things from their part of the world, and they'll have a Bible study together. They'll celebrate birthdays together. Milton and Ruth would actually bring some of those students over to our house sometimes for holidays. They'll celebrate holidays together. They are being family. And even now that Milt is gone, Ruth continues this legacy. And come find me if you want to go, because you can go help anytime on a Friday night. We've brought our kids to Friday nights before. It's such an amazing experience. But did you know that most international students, when they study in America, they never go in the home of Americans? And so for these students that come to Milton Ruth's house, they're calling them family. And you wouldn't believe how many hundreds of them came to Milt's funeral and streamed the funeral online and still call Milt and Ruth family to them. When you invite someone into your family, you're showing them the heart of Jesus. Another really simple way to do it, to connect the unconnected, is to invite someone to a group. We've got, I think, 7 groups in a youth group, so 8 total at the Hills. And they're all open groups. That means you can go to any group you want, except women can't go to men's groups and men can't go to women's groups. I don't care how much you're looking for love. It's just not going to work. But you get to invite someone into a group. And when you invite someone into a group, you are showing them, you are communicating to them that they belong. Isn't that cool? All you got to do to communicate to someone that you belong is invite them to a group. It doesn't even have to be your group. I have a men's group, so I'm not going to be inviting any women to my group. But I can invite you to my wife's group. I can invite you to some of the co-ed groups we have. Inviting someone to a group shows them that they have a place to belong. So I want to tell you about my friend Aaron from Texas. I got to know Aaron before I moved to California, so early 2010s, and I started a Bible study, a group, just like the groups we do. We're coming together, telling stories of Jesus, talking about how it applies to our lives, trying to follow Jesus together. And this guy, Aaron, came to my group, and he ended up hosting the group at his house. And he got connected to some guys. I don't even live there anymore. They're still connected. Aaron is running sound for the church that we were a part of. And I think of Aaron every single week whenever I put these speakers up or talk through these speakers, because every bit of sound system that you see was donated by this guy, Aaron. And so the rewards of connecting the unconnected are real. Not only the rewards of relationship, but this guy donated a whole sound system to a church plant in San Marcos, California, all the way from Lubbock, Texas. It was crazy to think about. And so I think about him regularly. And when you invite someone to a group, you're showing someone they belong. And so you can invite them to your group, you can invite them to another group. They're all open groups. And actually, when I'm done here, we're going to bring up as many group leaders as we can to show you who are the group leaders at the Hills. Who's someone that I can say, hey, can I come to your group? Because we care about you getting plugged into community. And in fact, if all you ever do is sit in a row at the Hills, you're missing out on what it means to be part of the church. Because we believe circles are better in rows. We grow through meaningful relationships. We grow in circles. We grow when we have to live life on life, when we're able to share our struggles, share our victories. Yeah, that's right. It's important. And I know it can be difficult to think about and care for the needs of other people. And that's going to have to happen when you're connecting the unconnected. You're going to have to think about the needs of other people. It's going to hurt. It's not easy. You're going to feel squeezed. And when you do, you may not think it's worth connecting the unconnected, because you think people may hurt you. And you're right. People are going to hurt you. And so this life sure looks like it will hurt less, right? But can I just tell you that if you live a life that is disconnected from the people of God, or if you refuse to help connect people to the connected life that God has for them, you're missing out on the rewards that God has for you. Because family is always reciprocal. And it's ultimately worth it. Because God will use people to show you his love and his care. So if you disconnect from people, you disconnect from the way God shows you his love and his care. That's the heart of Jesus, is to connect us, right? And I want to be like him. And if you want to be like him, if you want to be like Jesus, connect the unconnected. Because the most like Jesus you will ever be is when you care for the needs of others, even when you're suffering. Because you're going to suffer, you're going to experience pain in this life, and there's a temptation to just totally disconnect and not want to care for others because you're in so much pain. But that's when you show people the love of Jesus. It's like, you know what? I'm hurting, but I still have hands, and I can still serve. And I can still connect with someone. I can still care for someone, care about their connection. The most like Jesus you can possibly be is when you care for the needs of others, even when you're suffering. In the 1800s, there was a pandemic of leprosy in Hawaii. And it was so bad that what they had to do was they would send out everyone who contracted leprosy to this island called Molokai. And they had to live the rest of their lives in isolation, away from their families, away from their community. But there was one, what was he? He was a Belgian Catholic priest named Father Damien. And Father Damien didn't have leprosy, but he chose to go to Molokai. And he chose to live among them, and he built homes for them, he shared meals with them, and he dug graves for them. And ultimately, he contracted leprosy, and he died on the island. And that is such a sad story, I know, but it is an unbelievable example to us, because you can serve people even when you suffer to show them the heart of Jesus. Because that's what Jesus did. Jesus carried our pain on the cross. He paid the penalty that we owe to bring us into connection with our Heavenly Father. And you might be thinking about connecting the unconnected, and it may feel overwhelming because there's a lot of people who are disconnected. There's a lot of people in your life and in our city who need connection. And you're going to feel tempted to just kind of back off and not even want to try. But can I just give you one piece of advice? Do what Jesus did. Jesus did not care for the needs of everyone. I don't know if you paid attention whenever I told you the story, but there were actually 4 women who were at the foot of the cross. It wasn't just Mary. God is unlimited in his connection points, but even Jesus, when he chose to be human, he was limited in his ability to connect with people. He was limited by time, by space, by relationships. And he said, you know what? I'm going to do for one what I wish I could do for everyone. And so this is my advice for you when connecting the unconnected is do for one what you wish you could do for everyone. You know, I wish we could have this like Oprah moment where I just give all of you a car. Like, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. Wouldn't that be so much fun to just give everyone a car? I am limited. I cannot give all of you a car as much as I would like to do that. But can I tell you that our church has actually been able to give someone a car before? It's a huge blessing to that one person because we got to do for one what we wish we could do for everyone. And that's what you can do when you're connecting the unconnected. You can do for one what you wish you can do for everyone. Jesus provided for one, Mary, his mom. And he made her family to John. He made John family to her. And so you may feel like you don't have the margin. You may feel like you don't have the time. You may feel like you don't have the money. But I promise you that there is a reward. And if you've ever tried to connect someone who is needy, you may even feel a little bit apprehensive about trying to connect someone needy because you're like, I don't believe that the person I pour into relationally to try to help them connect is going to be able to reciprocate that. But let me tell you, in the kingdom of Jesus, family is always reciprocal. And so when you invest into someone to help them connect, you won't always feel it from them. The reciprocal nature of family is far beyond one-on-one. But God is going to use your investment in someone else's life, and then God is going to use other people to care for you. And so it's going to be this reciprocal, there's a relational reward every time you pour into someone to help them connect. God cares too much about his sons and daughters not to make family reciprocal. I want you to think for a second, like, if we as a church get this, if we start to really believe that he's calling us to connect the unconnected, there's going to be a level of care and protection in our relationships. We're going to elevate our ability to greet people, to smile at people, to make them feel welcome. It's not just going to be the pastor's job to welcome people and help them get connected. It's your job. It's your job. It's all of our job to help connect the unconnected. And when we connect them, we're not just connecting them to ourselves. We're connecting them to a community. We're connecting them to a family. And ultimately, we are connecting them to their heavenly Father. And they get to learn the first essential that we did 2 weeks ago, which is abide in Christ. Stay connected to Jesus. That's the most important thing in life. And then they get to learn the second essential, which is reach the lost. And so when you connect to Jesus, you connect to his mission. And so they start thinking about their neighbors and friends and family that don't know Jesus yet. And they join in the mission with us, and we're linking arms together. And then they catch the vision for connecting the unconnected. And then this person that you have connected, they are joining in the charge to help carry the heart of Jesus, which is connection, to connect people who are unconnected. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. If you know my wife, Amy, she is world class at this. We had an AC guy that came to our house the other day. She heard his whole story about he and his girlfriend fled Ukraine during the war, and by the time he was leaving our house, she put a bag of grapes in his hands. She said, if you ever want to be around a family, you and your girlfriend just come on over. I'm like, you don't even know this guy, Vlad. So next time you come over to our house, maybe Vlad will be there hanging out with his girlfriend. But there's rewards in it. I remember back when we were in college, we were dating, and we wanted to hang out together, but there was nowhere to hang out late at night, and so we went to the 24-hour Walmart. So romantic, right? That was our date spot. Every time we went into Walmart, the same lady was greeting. Her name was Melba, and I knew her name because Amy became a friend to Melba. And so we'd go into Walmart, and Amy would talk to this lady, Melba, and I would be there, and I would kind of like try to be pleasant about it. But Amy she saw Melba in a way that I didn't. And so eventually, Melba invited us over to her house. And so we got to know Melba and her husband, Hollis. Melba had these corsage projects that we would go and see at the county fair. we were so connected to Melba. And we got married a couple years later. And guess who came to our wedding? Yeah, I think I have a picture of it. Do we have a picture of Melba? That's Melba. So Melba and her husband, Hollis, they were dear friends to us, all because Amy chose to connect with her. No reason to. She was just greeting at Walmart. Melba's with Jesus now. Her husband, Hollis, is gone too. But we have a lot of joy, even this week as we talked about Melba, just remembering her. And I just want to ask you, like, who's your Melba? Who it is in your life that is disconnected? If you're honest, maybe it's you right now. You need to connect. But as you connect, who is someone in your life that you can help be a part of the family of God? There is someone who no one else in this room can reach but you. There is someone who's living their life in isolation, and you might be able to show them some love, welcome them into your family, invite them to your group. Even if they never come to church, you're still able to show them the love of Jesus. May we be a people who connect the unconnected, expanding the family of God, expanding the kingdom of Jesus through meaningful relationships. That's what it's all about.